Welcome back everyone. Last week I did a tips and strategy video on triangle strategy, and several of you shared your thoughts and strategies and asked for a follow-up video with more tips. So here it is. I have tested out some of the tips you guys shared, and they have been working really well, so I've decided to include them here along with some more thoughts of my own. Let's jump right into number 1.
Show me what you're made of.
A few hours into the game, you'll unlock the ability to purchase Quietus points and special abilities that use these points in the sundry shop at your encampment. If you're like me, you'll keep forgetting about these abilities. But if you hit X at the beginning of any of your unit's turns, you can use Quietus points from the menu. These points open up many more tactical options for you. From guaranteeing critical hits to preventing enemy units from moving, these are spectacular in the right situations. Two of my favorites are Fleet of Foot to increase the movement range of all units, and In Tandem, which allows you to choose a unit to go immediately after your current unit. We will see In Tandem at work in the following tips. This may go without saying for some players, but it is an excellent strategy that I can't leave out. Hold choke points whenever you are given or make the opportunity to do so. By doing this, you can have your archers and mages rain down fire from relative safety, and this works even better if you can capture the high ground. Another quick tip that not everyone may think about is to have Eredor use his sprint ability at the beginning of his turn. This will give him the extra movement right away and allow him to close with the enemy much faster. He won't be able to use Provoke on the same turn, but from my experience, if he's close enough to the enemy and no one else is in range, they will go after him anyway and be drawn away from your other units. The next several tips involve the Vanguard Scarf, which you can find while exploring the Grand Norzelian Mines. If you followed my tip in the previous video about exploration phases, hopefully you have this item. But if not, you can still use these tips, you just won't have the advantage of getting to use them on the first turn. Equipping the Vanguard Scarf allows that unit to move first no matter what. We can use this in conjunction with the In Tandem Quietus to help low-level units level up very fast. First, equip the unit you want to level up with a Scarf, and then have them attack or use an action on the first turn. On your next unit's turn, use In Tandem and select your first unit again, giving them a second turn immediately. Finally, when Benedict's turn comes up, which hopefully will be in the first couple of turns, especially if you've upgraded his speed at all, have him use Now on the low-level unit, giving them a third turn in quick succession. Depending on how far behind the unit is, these 3 turns may be enough to award them a level. And some bonus advice here, if you quit out of a mock battle, you will keep the experience gained. So you could just quit out of the battle and then start it again, and repeat the aforementioned strategy, potentially save yourself some time leveling up that character. Now let me just take a second to say, if you like this video so far, please hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. This next tip is an upgraded version of the Flame and Shield tip from the last video. The difference here is that you use Benedict equipped with Vanguard Sash and In Tandem to set up Eredor all before the enemy can move. First, have Benedict use Now on Frederica, then use In Tandem on Eredor at the beginning of Frederica's turn, and have her use Flame Shield on Eredor. Finally, move Eredor forward and use Provoke. Now Eredor is attracting enemies and countering them basically on turn 1. However, you can set this up anytime Benedict's turn comes around, provided everyone has enough TP. So if you want a full round to go by so Eredor's Provoke can hit more enemies, that is definitely a viable variation on this strategy, and it allows you to equip someone else with the Vanguard Scarf. Another effective use of Benedict's Now ability is for easy follow-up attacks. Just have him use it on a strong attacker and then move him next to, preferably in front of, an enemy. Then move your attacking unit behind the enemy. You now have both a critical hit backstab and a follow-up attack. This works great for finishing off weaker enemies especially.
I struck true.
This one is one of my favorite new strategies suggested by a viewer. Using Vanguard Scarf on a veteran mage with 4 TP, and then Benedict's Now and Julio's Finish them with In Tandem, we can get an AoE spell attack off 3 times in quick succession for devastating effect. The key to this strategy working well is to have both Benedict's and Julio's speed up as much as possible. The first step is to equip the Vanguard Scarf on your mage and then move them up and cast their spell. Then Benedict should be up next in a turn or 2. Have him use Now on the mage and have the mage blast enemies again. When Julio's turn comes up, use In Tandem on your mage and have Julio replenish the mage's TP with Finish them. Finally, have your mage blast the enemies for a 3rd time. If this can be done quickly, you can defeat whole groups of enemies within seconds at the start of the battle. An alternate version of this will allow you to still get 2 blasts off guaranteed before the enemy gets to move. This will probably work better for most people because it doesn't rely on Benedict and Julio's speed stat. In this version, you still start with the mage equipped with the Vanguard Scarf, but use in tandem on that first turn to ensure that Benedict goes immediately after the mage. Then have Benedict use now on your mage, and then have your mage blast the enemy the second time. This method worked better for me as I didn't have the speed stat on Julio where it needed to be. With this alternate version, you can still severely weaken a large group at the beginning of a battle, giving you a decisive edge. If you were like me, the thought didn't even cross your mind to view enemy units at the beginning of a battle, but yeah, you can. Just press Y while highlighting an enemy unit and you can check the stats of all the enemy units, including resistances and weaknesses. Furthermore, pressing Y on an empty tile will bring up the turn order. Using both of these features, you can plan for the battle ahead much better and place your units where they will be most effective. Finally, a whole separate video could probably be made about the conviction system in Triangle Strategy, but I'll just give a quick rundown of some of the mechanics that have been brought to my attention in the comments from the last video. First off, you may be aware that each decision you make at the Scales of Conviction has a color associated with it. But do you know what the colors signify? Green is morality, yellow is utility or pragmatism, and red is liberty. When speaking with people in exploration phases or cutscenes, each choice relates to one of these convictions, albeit you have to infer which choice is which conviction from the text. The part of this system that you may not have noticed, though, is that it appears easier to convince your house members to change their votes if your convictions are in line with the choice you want to make. For instance, if you are trying to go with the green option, which is morality, you will have an easier time if you have been making the moral choice in conversation more often than not. Consider this when in conversation with other characters, as Cyrano's convictions may make some paths more difficult to take later on. Now I'd like to just take a minute to thank Mage General 69, Puloyski, and John Doe for their contributions from the comments in the last video. All of us in the community can benefit from each other's strategies, and I think that's fantastic. If any of you out there have any other strategies you like to use, please leave them in the comments below and let's talk about them. Also, if you haven't seen my first tips video, here it is if you'd like to watch it. Thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.